Cheers, Rob Temple for Boxing Social in association with Pursue Fitness. Delighted to be joined here today, as always, by Shane McGUIGAN. We're at the White Rivas Undercard press conference ahead of Chris BILLAM-SMITH versus RIAKPORHE and Lawrence OKOLIE, your new charge. How you doing, Shane?
Charge, yeah, I'm doing really well, thanks. Excited to be on this, obviously, this big card. So it was a bit of a gutter that Lawrence's fight fell through, but we managed to Eddie managed to get him on this card straight away. So that was obviously a nice touch, seeing as we'd done all that training. We didn't want it to go to waste, and but the main fight for me on this card is obviously Chris BILLAM-SMITH versus RIAKPORHE. So I'm excited. It's touted as a 50-50 fight. A lot of people believe that RIAKPORHE is going to knock him out, or Chris beats him, from a technical standpoint on points. But we'll see.
Let's go on to that afterwards. Let's just touch upon Lawrence OKOLIE. Obviously, it's going to be the first time that we've seen him in the ring under your guidance. What can we expect to see from him? Obviously, you've had him for a period of time, not the longest, but what can we see? What kind of changes are you looking to implement on Saturday?
Well, he's been boxing, I think, about 7 or 8 years. So, we've had really one camp together. You can't expect something to just change completely overnight, technically. But, it's not like I'm working with a straight up beginner, because he's British and Commonwealth champion, and he's obviously got the WBA international, intercontinental, whatever belt it is. So, he's obviously got a lot of traction, a lot of success with what he's doing. I don't want to change him too much, but there's a couple of things I believe I can brush up on technically. Get him to sit down in his punches a little bit more, get him to have a little bit more confidence in controlling the range, because he smothers his work a little bit, and just working on his jab. I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a little bit more variety. In his last couple of fights with that Barry, he had a lot of variety, but there was nothing really coming off it. He wasn't teaching him sort of to punch hard, and he was switching, and that works at a low level. It looks good on the pads and stuff, but it's not effective at world level. So you need to make sure you're technically sound. You're not taking silly risks, and when you get an opponent hurt, you can finish him.
Just want to talk to you about Lawrence OKOLIE sparring in the build-up to this fight. I know he's been doing a lot of rounds with Daniel Dubois. How did they go?
Yeah, I think they did about 4 spars, 4 8-rounders. Maybe the first was a 6 or something, but yeah, they did really well. I mean, Daniel's very, very strong, very heavy-handed, and Lawrence being a cruiser, he has to be work on his speed a little bit more to sort of outmaneuver the bigger guy. But it was fantastic sparring, and Daniel Dubois is a nice guy. He's and Martin Bowers as well. They come down. There was no bad blood or nothing, so it was all real good quality work. But yeah, I thought it was brilliant sparring, and it's the sparring that Lawrence really needs to get his confidence up to shift onto the world stage.
Obviously, did Daniel Dubois the power of good? We saw his performance against Nathan Gorman at the weekend. What did you make of that?
I thought it was fantastic. I think because he's such a heavy-handed guy, he backs his power. That's the thing. He backs his power to knock anybody out, and that is the most important thing. You have to have the intent that you're going to knock somebody out, and he went in there on last Saturday with the intent that he was going to just walk straight through him. And obviously, when you get up the ladder, the guys get tougher. They also can punch a little bit more than Gorman can. So he's going to have to be a little bit more sensible rather than just swarming people straight away. But at this level, he's looking fantastic. So I think he's a huge prospect to look forward to in a couple of years' time, because he's only 21, isn't he?
Let's move on to RIAKPORHE versus Chris BILLAM-SMITH. Something that I've kind of mentioned in a lot of interviews, that fight, the closer the card has come, the more the interest seems to grow about that fight, the more people know, the more people are understanding what a good fight that is. Why do you think Chris will be, obviously you're going to be backing Chris, why do you think Chris will come out victorious on Saturday night?
I think he is technically better than him. He's faster than him, but he's single hand, sort of single punching power, single shot. Sorry, I should say. Struggling to get that word up. Punching power obviously lies with RIAKPORHE, but the technical ability does lie with Chris, and I believe technique can take away power, and also technique can generate power. So it's going to be exciting to see Chris. And the thing is I've seen so much of him in sparring. I've seen him look brilliant with world-class sparring partners. He's sparred pretty much every cruiserweight in the country. He's done some rounds with Richard, but it was actually at the end of sparring with Isaac Chamberlain, so then he did a couple. But it's just about making sure that we can get that guy in the gym out there on on the main stage in front of the lights. And if I am correct and he can do that, and Chris backs himself, then you're gonna see an exciting cruiserweight prospect coming through. So,
what did you make of Richard Riakporhe's comments in the press conference there? He essentially insinuated that you were favouring Lawrence over Chris, because obviously Lawrence is slightly further along in his career. What did you make of those comments?
Well, I went up and talked to him afterwards because I believed it was my right to do it. When Ted Bammy and Richard Riakporhe fell out, I linked up with Chris Congo. I wanted to manage Chris Congo, so I chose not to take him on. I didn't want some mediocre manager mapping out his career. I wanted to be in control of that. But at the same time, Richard Riakporhe asked me to train him through Chris Congo. So I said, listen, don't be disrespectful. You know you came and asked me to train you, so stop talking smack. I chose not to train him, and I chose to train Lawrence Ercoli. So if that's anything to stand by, then he just looks like a bit of a plum. So it's going to be, it's one of those things. Chris is breaking onto the domestic stage. Lawrence Ercoli's number 2 in the WBA rankings. This is his last fight domestically. It was going to be his last fight domestically. It is now his last fight at this sort of domestic level, and then he'll probably vacate the titles, and he's going to be fighting for the European title next, and then maybe 1 or 2 defences of that, and then he's going to kick on to world honours. So they're at different stages of their career, and they can benefit off the work and the training alongside each other. You need a training partner. You need someone to push you on when the days are tough. And the energy systems are very, very different compared to Luke Campbell and Josh Taylor, who I've got in the gym. Doing the energy systems for Chris. So having someone doing the same training as Chris, obviously with Lawrence doing the same circuits, doing similar weight training, doing similar pad work, it's good for Chris to have in the gym, and also it's good for Lawrence, and I believe he can do massive things.
Okay, well, before I let you go, what update, if any, can you give me on Luke Campbell versus Vasyl Lomachenko? Eddie has mentioned throughout the week that Vasyl Lomachenko might be there on Saturday. We might get an announcement. What update can you give us?
You're gonna see Lomachenko this weekend, I believe, and there's going to be an announcement this weekend. So it was a bit frustrating for me. I personally wanted to announce it last week. AJ was going to have his announcement, so we held off. But it is the way it works, So we have to be patient. But the fight is on the horizon, and we're in training camp for it. And Lomachenko, you're going to see him in the flesh maybe on Saturday night.
There's an exclusive.
There's the exclusive. Didn't give too much away there. Okay, Shane McGUIGAN, as always, real pleasure. Very, very short one for us, only 8 minutes. Another 50 coming after the show on Saturday. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rob, as always.